Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the weekly general overview with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, it is an absolute pleasure to have you be here with me. I just want to say to all of you, for all of your support, for all of your likes, your shares, all of your subscriptions, all of you that have become members, it really does mean a lot to me that so many of you resonate with my work. Every time I see the numbers climbing, it just astounds me. For those of you that are continued subbies, you know I love you, and for those of you that have just come to my channel, for those of you that are new subscribers, it means the absolute world that you are here, that you are sharing space with me. So with that said, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the website address below. If you haven't got your seat yet, the winter solstice alignment activation session is still open. You can still get your seat. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to it. And also, if you haven't got it yet, we're coming up to that Mercury retrograde. The retrograde survival kit is still half price, $19.99 versus $39.99, which it will go up to when Mercury goes retrograde on the 31st of October. So if you get it now, you get it half price. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless all of my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So let's have a look, see what's going on here. So this week, interestingly enough, what I saw, and actually I'm going to tell you what I originally saw, because I want you all to know about my intent. My intent is always to bring the highest wisdom. I always set my intention for, you know, whatever it is that people need to hear to come through, whether it's for the signs, whether it's for weekly general, whether it's for a special transit. Whenever I set my intention, it's always to deliver information and messages that are going to assist you in building the life that you want. And more importantly, I mean, some of you know this, I'm not the reader. If you want somebody to tell you what you want to hear, if you want somebody to, you know, give you all of the fluff, I'm definitely not the person. I don't shy away from the difficult subjects. I don't believe anybody gets anything out of that. So, you know, I talk about all of it: sex, death, the taboo stuff. If it comes up in the cards, that is what you're going to get from me. Now, the reason you're seeing this wonderful symbol as your message is because I wanted to put it forward in a way that wouldn't freak some people out. And, you know, I love a conspiracy theory. I'm an Aquarius, so, you know, my mind loves all of that sort of stuff, but I am able to differentiate what is, you know, and I'm not saying that I know what's, you know, what's real more than anybody else. I'm just saying that I am able to differentiate what actually speaks to me and resonates as congruent and what doesn't, right? So when I went into my meditation for the week ahead, what I asked was, what is it that we all need to know for the weekly general message? What is it that, and what I was actually shown was a pyramid, right? So, but I thought if I draw a pyramid, loads of people are going to freak out and it's like, oh, you know, all this Illuminati stuff. You know, I've done all the reading and the research and watched the YouTube stuff, and in the end you have to separate yourself from it, because it creates an energy within you that becomes fearful, and it's like, oh, you know, don't do all of that. Don't do it to yourself. Know what to look for, know what not to look for, and what to spend your time and your energy on. So what I was trying to figure out was, what can I use as a symbol? And the message with that pyramid, what I could actually see was the 3 points of the pyramid, there was a person and they all had their hand in the middle. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, okay, so why are you showing me these people? And what they were showing me was the power of when people come together, right? So this week, especially as we're heading towards this Mercury retrograde season, because it's going to be a bitch, I got to be honest, it is going to be very, very intense. Now, I don't necessarily perceive that anything hugely catastrophic is going to take place. It's just going to be a heavy energy. Some signs, actually, believe it or not, if you've seen your if you haven't seen your monthly taroscope, go ahead and watch your November Taroscope, and don't forget to check out the monthly general. I've released that to the general public this month. You only get that if you're a member usually. You can find all of that in the link in the description box below. But what I was being shown was that, and this Mercury retrograde is going to be intense. It's, like I said, not necessarily anything bad, but it's going to feel like a heavy energy, right? Because it's steeped in Scorpio, and we've got a lot of stuff moving into Scorpio over the course of that time. This is kind of the prelude for that, right? And what's happening this week, when I saw this and those three people coming together, this is about finding your tribe, right? What I could see, those three people that I saw, they were effectively like a mini coven. Now, a lot of people know this as the symbol from Charmed, the triquetra, and you know, it's all of that, and I wanted to use a symbol that would conjure up more light for people, right? It's surrounded at each one of these points. You can see, you know, I've drawn a pentagram, and the reason I've done that is because it represents the combination of spiritual energies, and each one of these points for me represented a person, and that for me is about bringing like minds together. Whoever your people are, be sure to check in on them this week. Not because I feel like anything's going to happen, but you want to set this bond, you want to set this foundation now. This is why I talked so much about the month of October being that time where you solidify the type of energies that you want around you. Going into November, eliminating the ones that don't speak to you. Scorpio, very eliminative sort of properties. That's what Pluto, the ruling planet of Scorpio, is all about. Now, the other thing about the number 3, right, really interesting, is what came to me is it represents your past, your present, and your future. These are the 3 aspects of self all coming into alignment, and this is going to be a week where you really are tapping into that. So it's almost like you're reaching out to the people that are effectively going to be your support network over the next 4 to 6 weeks, right? So this is the time to set those intentions of, right, okay, these are the people that I'm going to have in my immediate circle. These are the people I'm going to check on. These are the people I'm going to support. And ultimately, these are going to be, you know, a pyramid can only stand if all 3 of the sides are strong, right? And that's what the circle represents, the unification of those 3 things, the unification of those 3 beings. When you get past, present, and future all converging into one, that is a point of creation. It's a very powerful point of manifestation as well, right? And actually, there's a line in the Bible that says, where 2 or 3 of you, and it's interesting because Nadia Shah brought this up, I think about a week ago, and what's really interesting is the day before she was talking about it on her video for the week ahead, I'd literally just been thinking like a lot about that line, and it's something that I see a lot of. I've already made steps this week to start reaching out to the people that I believe are going to be fundamental and key, not just for things going forward, but also for the year of 2020. So this is an interesting and very powerful week, and a pivotal week in that respect. Pay attention to the people that you feel drawn to this week. If you feel like picking the phone up and reaching out to somebody that you haven't in a while, do so. If somebody contacts you that hasn't in a while, listen to what they have to say. We're all being drawn to who it is that's going to be a part of our support system for the next 4 to 6 weeks, and that in itself is going to be a setup for what happens later on in the beginning of 2020. Lots of really interesting stuff coming, and I know I've talked about this at length, but I felt like it was really, really important. And as I said, I've used a different symbol here because I didn't want people to freak out and be like, oh, you know, Illuminati, all of that. It's not about that. So that's why I've chosen a different symbol, and this actually felt more appropriate to me. So yeah, there's that. All right, the destiny card for the week ahead is the World card. All right, Tarot, do you see that? My forehead literally just started to flush. You have my attention. Wow. All right. Okay. So the destiny card ahead is the World card, right? And the World card is the culmination. It's the peak point. Now, the thing that you need to know about the World card, if you've been with me for a while, you will have heard me say this for the last 3 years, right? The world card is number 21. That's the number that it governs in the tarot. However, it is the 22nd major arcana, right? And this card actually represents the planet of Saturn. Saturn rules mastery, right? And the reason it rules mastery is because it limits what you do, so that you have to do things by the book. You have to work hard. You have to, the only way that you become a master at anything is by repetition, by continuing to do something. The fact that we've got the world card as a destiny card, this really is about building a firm, a solid foundation this week to get you through the next 4 to 6 weeks of the Mercury retrograde that is taking place in Scorpio. And it's not just that you know, you never, in astrology, you can never just say it's all down to one aspect or one transit. There's other things going on here, but the Mercury retrograde kind of kicks off the Scorpio season, so to speak. And then we're going to get this bunching of scorpionic energy that kind of builds. So it's really important that you set these kind of, when I say intentions, it's more a case of solidifying and crystallizing a specific type of vibe that you intend to take with you. That's what the winter solstice alignment activation session is for. That's how I designed it, and that's the reason I brought it about. With that said, right, this really does suggest the wider world stage. We will definitely see things playing out on the wider world stage this week. This whole thing with Brexit is going to be something that builds up, obviously, because we know that's happening in the UK. But I feel like before we get to the 31st, there's going to be something else that takes place. There's going to be something on a bigger scale, and I kind of, you know, and I don't, like I said, I don't feel like it's going to be anything bad necessarily. I feel like it's just going to be something that is very changeable, you know, and when I say changeable, I mean it's going to alter the course that we're on. On a personal level, on a microcosmic level, this really represents us stepping onto a different vibe. It represents us stepping into a new era or aspect of self, right? And it's in relation to the people that we are surrounded with, especially because it is the world card. Check in on, if you know your boss is having a difficult time of it, maybe reach out and try to be a support for them. If you have elderly people in your family, maybe reach out and offer some support, you know, because the Saturn represents older people or persons of authority. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, as a destiny card, it really feels for me like we're heading towards this solidification of how we actually want things to be from here on in. You know, it's that stepping onto a different level or a different plateau. And it usually has far-reaching ripples, the world card. It's usually something, you know, because it's a completion, it's a grand culmination, but it would be like it's like the award ceremony. Do you know what I mean? Where you go from being a student to being a master. It is that kind of energy. So the direction, we got the Page of Cups. You've got to listen to your intuition this week, right? You really need to trust those moments of daydream and reverie that you have. You might go off into a thought about something and you know, really go off somewhere and then come back and think, oh, that was really profound, or, you know, that was really big, or you know, you might find that you're having intuitions or nudges towards certain things to do this week, right? Because the Page of Cups is a very creative energy. It's a very dreamy, intuitive, artistic sort of energy as well. And the fact that this is the direction, reach out, make connections this week. This is a week for you to really do that. The thing with the Page of Cups is one of the warmer pages, right? It wants to connect. It needs that loving, emotional, wise connection to people. You know, out of all of the pages, the Page of Cups is very often a card of children, and it means, you know, very often because they have like that, almost like that purity about them. The other thing is, as a direction, because this direction is what we do, it's how we do things. And the pages are very similar to aces. This could be a new beginning, right? So reach out, make connections. If you've been thinking about doing some type of networking, this is a great week to do that. It's also telling you to get creative about creating the things that you want. It's asking you to really get, what's the word? to really get clear on what it is that you are dedicating your time to, and also to get clear on what it is that you're dedicating to making real or manifest now. And over the next 4 to 6 weeks of this retrograde period, and I say that because the retrograde starts on the 31st of October. It will end on the 20th of November, but it won't be out of shadow until the 7th of December, right? So that's why I say 4 to 6 weeks. Your insight card, what do you need to know? The Seven of Cups. So, you know, interestingly enough, Mercury retrograde does tend to bring its own set of confusion, but the Seven of Cups actually means confusion. Sometimes it asks you to stop spreading yourself too thin. Remember, I only saw 3 people, right? So whatever your tribe is, you keep it small. This is the week to anything or anyone that is superfluous, that isn't really a strong connection, that doesn't really, you know, feel like the right thing. You've got to pay attention to your feelings this week, right? Your brain power, you know, and this is not to say that, you know, we're all suddenly going to be stupid. Your brain power is, the closer we get to that retrograde point, that retrograde motion, the less reliable cognitive thought is going to be. However, your feelings, your intuition, your energetic, emotional, psycho-emotional world, that stuff is a lot harder to fool. Right? And I'll give you an example. Sometimes we see something happen in the world, or we watch an experience, or we have an experience, and, you know, we know that it doesn't feel right, but we mentally, through concepts and explanation and all the rest of it, we convince ourselves that actually it's not that bad, or, you know, or maybe I'm just hyping it up to more than it is. But your intuition and your emotion is knocking us out. I don't like that. It doesn't feel right to me. Pay attention to that stuff. And it doesn't have to be, you know, like I said, anything bad or scary. It's just asking you to pay more attention to your feelings. Check in with your feelings this week, right? Because that's where you're going to get the most pertinent information, and that's where you're going to get the stuff that really makes sense to you. Right? And this is the same with people. One thing that I always say to people, if you've had a reading with me, you can vouch for this, and I want you to comment down below. When you get the Seven of Cups, I always say to you, now is the time to stop spreading yourself too thin, and it's time for you to streamline everything that you're doing. Right? So, because the Seven of Cups creates confusion because there's too many things, there's too many paths, there's too many options. When you streamline them and take away the things or the people that are superfluous, and just focus on the ones that are tribe, the ones that are, you know, the things, the people, all of it that feel right to you, that resonate at that level, then everything else becomes easier. Right? It's a talent to juggle 100 plates. Not everybody can do it, which is why I say, how about you just juggle 20 and keep them all spinning without breaking anything, rather than trying to spin them all and then you trash everything. Right? So this is about streamlining. It's about knowing who your people are. I said this in the November monthly general, right? So you've really got to know your energy. And as we go into this, and this it's not about fear. It's not about, you know, it's just knowing what and who resonates with you, and knowing that that is the bubble that you stay within this week, right? Or rather, it's the bubble that you step into this week. And then that bubble is going to kind of keep you from being a bit of a headless chicken. And we're going to see a few of those over the next few weeks, right? With this deep, intense scorpionic energy. So yeah, that's what I've got for you this week. I hope it makes sense. I hope it resonates with some of you. It was a bit deep. I did go off on a few tangents, but I really hope that all the same, it speaks to you and it helps you. Yeah, the other thing is as well, whatever does happen on the wider world stage, please check in with your feelings, right? Because some of it, and I'm not saying, well, no, actually, yeah, I am saying it. Sometimes it's just fear mongering. So sometimes the stuff that you read or the stuff that you see on the news isn't actually is the way that it's being presented, right? So it's important for you not to kind of, oh my God, Mars attacks. You know, I used to do it. I used to do it all the time. Like, oh my gosh. Don't do that this week. Check in with your feelings so that you can stay calm and collected. Check in on your people. make sure your circle is tight knit. Make sure that the circle that you are surrounded with are what and who you need, and ultimately what and who resonates with you. And more importantly, like I said, be sure to check in on those people. If you know a boss is struggling, reach out to them. It will be greatly appreciated. That world card is what tells me that. And also the same with your elderly. If you've got elderly in the family, I mean, we all have in some way, shape or form, but yeah, reach out to them. And even if they say, no, I'm all right, that's, you know, my nan's the worst for that. But just doing it will give that, you know, that real sense of, oh, you know what? Actually, people do think about me and I am loved and I am cared for. I don't think we do it enough. All right, anyway, with all of that said, I'm waffling and rambling now. I love you all so much. Thank you for all of your support. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care. Have an awesome week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up, what it, you know, what you feel, what, yeah, you know, talk about what you feel as well. Really important. I love you millions. Take care and I'll see you soon.